being awkward. We're live. Hi guys. I don't know what happened then. The internet was being a pain. I hope it's not going to disconnect. We'll see. We'll give it a go. We got our cup of tea. It's defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. I've been out all day. I've had to go to the properties and check them. And yes, we are going to, I think, look at the Barbara Walters interviews. Now, I've been out all day. I'm going to give you guys a chance to jump on. I'm really hoping that there's not a problem. Yeah. So let me just tell everyone we're live. Okay. Let's get onto the chat. Now, don't forget, we have Defending Elvis Presley Facebook chat. And you can join the 24-hour chat. Let me just type it. We're live. Now, right, I'm just letting people know. I could even jump over and let's see if I can do it. I can even put a link to the live. Will that work? Let me try. Just giving you guys a chance to latch on. So I've had a fun day today at the businesses. We've got the properties are being cleared out. It started raining. I went with my twin brother. I've got a twin brother called Andreas. Right, let's see if I can get a link. A link for... I thought what I might do before I start going through the Barbara Walters interview, part 3, thought I might just read the comments I've got from you. Oh, look, showing me live. Can we do a link? Let's have a look. Can we share the link? Oh, look, showing me I'm live. Talking to myself. Share. Can we do a link? Copy. Can we share the link? Look, that's just funny that I can do that. Let's go, right, let's go back to our 24-hour chat. Hello, Linda. Hi, Jane. I'm just trying to put a link onto, I'm just seeing if the link works, so I can put a link that people can click onto the link to join our live. So I've put one on the chat. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl, are you new? Cheryl Wintle. Let's put a link onto our Defending Elvis Presley Facebook page, which has a brilliant 24-hour chat messenger where you can post pictures, videos, all of your research, your documents, and you can get to know each other. You can chat away 24 hours a day. Elvis Presley, Defending Elvis Presley Facebook page. And of course, we are Defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. Now, Cheryl, welcome. You're from South Africa. I'm in the UK, southwestern UK. I'm near Bristol. Hi, Linda. I know the links. I did 4 links and they didn't work, so I had to restart the PC, the laptop, and it started working. So yes, bit frustrating, but we got there in the end. So Cheryl, how did you find out about us? Have you watched us before on our live streams? Was it on our video channel? Now, something you must do, guys, to join our lives. We do 2 or 3 live streams a day, Defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. You must have a cup of tea. Have you got a cup of tea? Shall I give you a minute to go and get a tea? Right. So normally, Cheryl, you see us on the YouTube channel. We do post thousands of, as you know, videos and shorts. And recently, we've been posting some of the live streams on the video side of the YouTube channel. But we also do 2 or 3 live streams every day, Defending Elvis. Today is part 3 of the Barbara Walters interview that was done in 1985 that we think was very cruel and unfair to Elvis. We think that Priscilla portrayed Elvis with the help of Barbara Walters in a very bad light. So we've got a good, what's the time? It's 4:30. We have a good 50 minutes, to chat. Now, in case you don't know, in case you don't know, we meet here every day. It's Team Elvis. The people here defending Elvis Presley are called Team Elvis. We are all one big family. We've only been going for 4-ish months. We're growing. Now, the videos and shorts have been going for a couple of years, but the Defending Elvis thing, which evolved thanks to the subscribers and the members, has been gradually growing. And most of my knowledge that I get, that I'm sharing with you guys, I'm no expert. I'm an Elvis fan at home in my kitchen. I'm inviting you guys into my kitchen. It can get noisy. The dogs bark. The kids are noisy. Sometimes the kids climb on top of me. Sometimes people come and go behind me. I'm just at home. I'm no expert. So most of the information I get comes from you guys. You commenting, sharing documentation, research with me, and then I relay it back to you guys. So, is it, Cheryl? So you're a proud fan. I became a fan when I was 4. I'm 57 now. So I've been a fan for over 50 years. Most of the people on here have been fans their whole lives. And we don't just defend Elvis, we defend Lisa Marie. We're there for Finley and Harper and Riley. We miss Lisa Marie like crazy. We also, our heart goes out to Paul Benjamin as well. We defend the Presley bloodline. Yeah, that's how we are. We personally feel that many things have happened to Elvis that are very unfair. We disagree with most of the things in the book Elvis and Me that was written by Priscilla in 1985. We think most of the things in this book are incorrect and have been, it's a rewriting of history from the point of view of Priscilla 7 years after Elvis passed away. Now, I'm going to give you a little taster of why we think that the way Elvis has been portrayed has been very unfair. Now, at the moment, we are, let me just look at it. At the moment, we are doing the Barbara Walters 1985 interview. Let me get it up. Let's have a look. Okay, and we're only about 10 minutes in. We're playing the full version. Now, what we're doing, we're reviewing the interview. Now, we are very unhappy with Barbara Walters. How we feel the introduction to the Barbara Walters interview, look, we feel the introduction was very cruel to Elvis and not the truth. We think the whole thing has been twisted to make Elvis look bad, to make Priscilla look good. Now, we don't hate Priscilla. We're not a Priscilla hate channel. We're not anti-Priscilla. We are just defenders of Elvis. We are Team Elvis, trying to defend Elvis as best we can. And unfortunately, Priscilla is one of the main things we think have harmed Elvis's reputation, his image, and has damaged his legacy. The newest example is the making of the Priscilla film by Sofia Coppola. We think did a lot of damage to Elvis. So anyway, instead of me waffling, I'm going to play clips of this, and then we are going to be critical. We're going to review it together. You guys can comment as we go. And I haven't watched this for a while, so we're just going to see how it goes. Now, don't forget, we've already got a part 1 and a part 2 that you can find on the live streams that we did yesterday. So this is part 3, but we're only 8 minutes into it. Now, what we want you guys to do is read between the lines, listen to what she's saying, see if Priscilla is trying to manipulate the interview, see if Barbara Walters is trying to manipulate us, the viewer. We feel that that interview was created to manipulate the people around the world, not just Elvis fans, non-Elvis fans as well. We think that that interview confused people and made people think Elvis was a predator, a pedophile, a rapist, a controller, a groomer, many negative things, a drug addict, binging on cheeseburgers. We think this interview really does paint a bad light. And we think that Priscilla did this interview to try and win public approval for herself. I'm the victim. I was wronged. Everything was Elvis's fault. Elvis was the bad guy. Now, we've discovered that Priscilla was very unfaithful. and very cruel to Elvis on the divorce settlement. Very, very cruel. And then went on after Elvis died to be quite cruel to Elvis, including the rewriting of history with this book. We think this book that was written 7 years after Elvis died by his ex, his divorcee, it has been very cruel to Elvis. Remember, she was never his widow. When Elvis died, he had been dead for 4 years, not his widow. She was, and she still keeps saying that that Elvis is the love of her life, which is impossible. If you know the different relationships that Priscilla has had over the years, for the last 40 years, it is impossible that Elvis is still the love of her life. It does not add up. It does not make sense.
Keep her that way until he married her. Keep her a virgin no matter what. Right. What do you think attracted a 24-year-old star to a 14-year-old inexperienced? Or am I telling you just as I say that? Is that what attracted him to you?
The inexperience, yes. I think Elvis had been around Hollywood already. He'd already seen Hollywood quote-unquote starlets. So I think in his own mind, he thought, well, I'll just be with someone and teach her as a kite. And I don't think a lot of older women would have put up with a lot of the things that went on. Because when you're young, you kind of, I listened to him and did what he said. What woman around his age, just say 24 or 25, would want to go out with a lot of guys when they went out?
He was almost always with an entourage.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Even then, in Germany, when you had trouble getting up for classes, Elvis gave you Dexedrine. First time you'd see.
Right, hang on, I didn't
know what was going on.
Before we start talking about the drugs, so we've already covered this a bit yesterday, so I won't go over that bit too much. But remember, the impression is given. Let me just end this. Remember, hang on, let me start this. Hello, I'm on another call at the moment. Who is it? Right, let me end it. You can tell you're in my kitchen. Right, now remember, guys, we think, let me turn the tap off. We think we're going to get there in the end. We're going to get there, guys. We're going to get there. Right. Now, remember, we think that already 8 minutes into this interview, Barbara Walters is going, oh, how did you get with a 24-year-old man when you were 14? How did your parents allow that? Well, straight away, guys, he only knew her for 6 weeks. There was no sex. They were friends for just 6 weeks. This is proven. Then he didn't see her for over 2 years. So she never got with Elvis never got with a 14-year-old girl. It is not true. It is a complete lie. Now, what she should have done is butted in and gone, hang on a minute. Yeah, I met him for 6 weeks. We were just friends. Oh, I didn't see him then for another 2.5 years. Nearly 3 years. She didn't go to America till she was 17. Nearly 3 years later. So again, the truth is being twisted. They're in Germany, really, and then she begged to be with him. Correct, Cheryl. That's correct. Let me just see. She was so jealous of the starlets, even the woman whom he was just friends with. Well, Elaine, I don't blame her being jealous. I don't blame her being jealous. I have to say that. Come on, let's be fair. She's got a crush on Elvis. She's infatuated with him. Even if the child bride story is true and it was all pre-planned, which is another version of events. Come on, she was infatuated with him. She got jealous. Elvis was seeing other girls. Let's be straight. Elvis was no angel. When she moved over, when she was nearly 18, Elvis was being naughty. He was. Elvis saw himself as a single man. She knew that she was moving over to America with a man who had other girlfriends. She knew it. She knew it. He was still seeing Anita Wood at first, wasn't he? My point is this, guys. That, yes, Elvis carried on seeing other women in the 60s whilst making the movies, when he was seeing Priscilla. This is once she moved to America when she was nearly 18, yeah? Remember, they were not having sex. So that must have been tough for her. Come on, let's not whitewash that. Let's not act as if that never happened. Now, obviously, as things move on, once they get engaged and married, everything changes. Yeah. So let me carry on playing this. Let me just check your comments. Yeah, but now, do we know that they didn't get frisky with each other before he left Germany? Right. No, we don't know. How can we know? She's put it in her book that they did. Yeah. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Right, I say this to Bubba. How do we know? Nothing in this book can be proved. This book was written 7 years after Elvis died, so he cannot defend himself. He can't deny any of it. There's no witnesses. No one was in the room with them. No one actually knows if they even kissed. Do they? No one knows nothing. Or what we do know is they had a friendship for 6 weeks. We know that. That's fact. The dates tie in with when he came back to America to do his GI Blues movie and Frank Sinatra special and make albums for RCA Victor. No one knows because she has written that they were intimate with, but no sex. At one point, she even says he withdrew himself. He withdrew himself. So that insinuates that he penetrated her. But then, for the next 40 years, she has been adamant that they never had sex until the night of the wedding. The night of the wedding. She clearly says that over and over and again. So that puts all of this in doubt. Remember, Elvis had no say in this book. This book was written by Priscilla. For Priscilla, to make Priscilla look like the victim, Elvis look like the bad guy. I don't care what anyone says. This was a rewriting of history. And we know this because she's even admitted it in an interview. She wrote this book to put wrongs to right. There had been other books written, and she said, enough was enough. We're going to put wrongs to right. And this book was a massive bestseller around the world, over 3 million copies. And she said that this book was factual and history, yeah, when it was released in 1985. Now, how is that possible that a woman can write, a woman or a man, I'm not being sexist, how is it possible that someone can write a book about a dead person 7 years after they've died, and she can literally say whatever she wants, She can make it up as much as she wants. So we do not know. We do not know if there was any sex. Yeah, Bubba, I'm going to concentrate on you a minute. We aren't saying that they want all the way. I hear interviews they did from one of those guys. I know, I've seen all the interviews. Was the one of the guys, was he there? Was he in the room with them? Was that one of the guys being paid to talk, to be interviewed? Did he get money put in his pocket to make Elvis look like a paedophile? Again, when there's money involved and there's no actual witnesses that are in the room with Elvis and Priscilla, it is just hearsay. Let's carry on with the comments. Women are preggers for 10 months, so it's definitely that got intimate before the wedding, hence him having to marry her. There is a possibility that she was pregnant at the wedding, but we don't know that. Again, we're just guessing. Now, it's 9.5 months, isn't it? But yeah, if they go overdue, it can be 10 months. So, it's complicated, but I will say this. Once Elvis committed to the engagement and then the marriage happened on May the 1st, 1967, he was faithful. He was faithful until he caught Priscilla being unfaithful 2 to 3 months after Lisa Marie was born. Yeah? Then it's all gone pear-shaped. The wedding's over. Yeah, they have a fake marriage for a couple of years, and then she runs off with Mike Stone. Yeah, many people don't know about Priscilla's unfaithfulness. Many people think it was just Elvis that was unfaithful. Yeah. Now, also, let's remember, in the 1950s and 1960s, it was not unusual for a man in his 20s to date a woman who was a teenager, maybe not 14, but definitely 16, 17, pretty normal in 1960. So let's put ourselves back to 1960s. Yeah, not 2024.
With a lot of the things that went on. I mean, you know, because when you're young, you kind of, I listened to him and did what he said. What woman around his age, let's say 24 or 25, would want to go out with a lot of guys when they went out?
He was almost always with an
Oh,
entourage.
yes, absolutely.
Even then,
Right, just very quick,
Germany, when you were
very quick comment. Now, one of Priscilla's regular negative things that she says about Elvis is that he was always with the Memphis Mafia. Now, if it was you and me, if it was me and my wife, yeah, and I had all my friends with me all the time, 10 friends right now in this room, and my wife's here as well. That ain't right, is it? It's not fair on my wife. This was Elvis Presley, the most famous man on the planet. He literally couldn't go out ever. The only time Elvis could socialize is during the night. So he led an upside down world. So he literally slept in the day, went out at night. He had no choice. He had no choice. It wasn't because he was a weirdo. It wasn't because he was a vampire. He had no choice. He was just too famous. Let's talk about the Memphis Mafia. Yes, he was always with the Memphis Mafia, but he needed protecting. Elvis needed a large amount of bodyguards around him to protect him. When Priscilla moved over from wherever she lived to this amazing world of Graceland, a celebrity world, a fantasy world, Disney world, she could have anything she wanted, anything. When she moved to that world, she moved to that world to live. I know she stayed with Vernon temporarily, to live with a rock and roll star, the most famous man in the world, the most wanted man in the world. He needed the Memphis Mafia around him. So she's now trying to portray the fact that he needed bodyguards 24/7 to protect him as if it was a bad thing, a bad thing. Now, remember, they got married when she was nearly 22. She says that was the first time they had sex. We know 9 months later, Lisa Marie was born. So she's trying to act as if, oh, poor me. I moved to Graceland when I was nearly 18. And, oh, he was living with the Memphis Mafia. It was so hard for me. And, oh, and by the way, he was off making movies. And there's a possibility that he was having affairs with his co-stars and Anne Margaret. Oh, my God, what did I go through? Now, remember, no one forced Priscilla to move to Graceland. She was not forced. She chose to. She knew, she made the decision to move to America to live at Graceland because she wanted to. She knew that he wasn't going to be faithful at first. He had other girlfriends. He was still seeing Anita Wood for quite a while. And then obviously then many other girlfriends and many other co-stars. A lot of the co-stars that he became close with, he never had sex with. There wasn't proper relationships. It was close friendships. So let's keep going, guys.
trouble getting up for classes. Elvis gave you Dexedrine. First time you'd seen pills.
I didn't know what was going on as far as, you know, pills or what they were, sleeping pills. I mean, he gave them to me to be helpful, to say, look, if it's really getting really bad and you're not doing well, you know, take a couple of these. But he was very cautious about them, and he said, don't take them a lot, and just take them if you really need them.
Elvis went back to America. Was
Right.
released from the
Okay.
service.
Well, right. Remember, one of the big things that we defend on Defending Elvis Presley, fans want the truth, is this lie that Elvis was some kind of street druggie that wanted to get high on coke, on heroin, or whatever the street drugs were back then. This is so far from the truth. Elvis, yes, is a possibility. He took too much medication. He was oversubscribed medication. He felt he needed a lot of medication, prescribed medication. It doesn't mean he was a street addict. It doesn't mean he was a drug addict. He was a desperately ill man. He was a proud man. He tried to keep his illnesses to himself. He had very serious chronic problems. Even as a child, he was unwell, and through his teenage years. So yes, Elvis had medical problems that got worse and worse. And yes, maybe he was addicted to some of these medications. Maybe he overtook some of these medications. Maybe the doctors didn't know what to do. It was so complex, his different chronic medical problems, that they were just trying everything to help fix him, to help make him feel better, to reduce his inflammation, his constipation, his twisted colon, his glaucoma. We could go on and on. He had high blood pressure, hypertension. It's rumored that he had bone cancer, which I'm not sure if that's true. It's rumored that he had inherited the alpha-1 genetic condition. There's just so many things that are out there talking about why Elvis needed so many pills. But she's talking about sleeping tablets and uppers. Yeah. Now I didn't know much about uppers. I didn't really, they brush over that topic quickly. But the truth is, it was completely normal in the 1960s to take sleeping tablets and uppers. Quite normal. People didn't know the side effects. She's wording it in a way to make him look like a drug addict, which he was not. Let's keep going, guys.
You stayed in Germany. When you were 15, he says, come live with me in Memphis.
Well, I have to pause that. When you were 15, he says, come live with me in Memphis. We have proved that she did not move to Graceland until she was 17, nearly 18. So there is a barefaced lie just there. Now, Priscilla, what she should do is jump in and say, you're wrong, Barbara. Now, we know Barbara here is painting the bad picture. Oh, my God, what was he like? Oh, God, what a bizarre man. What a strange man who was a drug addict, who took sleeping tablets. And at 15 years old, he forced you to move to Memphis, to Graceland. Poor you. When the truth is, she was begging him to go over, and that she didn't move there until she was nearly 18. So let's catch the lies, guys. Let's see what Barbara Walters is doing here. Because I think Barbara then, in 1985, the whole world is watching, is doing quite a lot of damage to Elvis's image and reputation. Every time Barbara says something, most of the time she isn't even asking questions. She's giving Priscilla the answers. She's saying, and you did this, and you did that, and you were 15, and you took sleeping tablets, and you were made to move to Memphis. You see the way that if Barbara Walters was alive today, I'd say to her, you should be ashamed of yourself. The way that you manipulated that interview against Elvis Presley to make Priscilla look like a victim. And it's so far from the truth. Get it? Now, this is why we defend Elvis Presley. This is why we defend Elvis Presley. Let's keep going, guys.
Okay. In my parents' defense, they were going through it. They were having a hard time with this, but I was in love. And they were caught between, well, if we don't let her go, she'll sneak off and do it, or she'll catch a plane and go. My mother would cry and go, I don't know what to do. And I felt badly because I did go through a lot.
Looking back, do you think your parents should have let you go to Memphis?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because, who knows? Maybe we would have been married and had the child I have. I don't think they made a mistake. I think they were wise.
Did Elvis mention marriage when you first moved to Memphis?
He was reluctant in mentioning marriage.
Right, I'll jump in there. I'll jump in. Now, I think the way her body language was then and the way she reacted to that question, did Elvis mention marriage? Yeah? I don't think he did. I think if you listen to different interviews with Priscilla, we do get given the impression that marriage was mentioned. And this, because he had mentioned, so-called mentioned marriage, she's just said that not really, that years later, when in 1967, or 66 when they got engaged, that Elvis was pressured by Colonel Tom Parker, Priscilla's parents, Vernon, that maybe he should do the right thing and marry Priscilla. So it's a mixed bag. Let's keep going, guys.
For entertainment, he would rent a whole movie theater or rent a playground or fly across the country for a peanut butter sandwich. What was this like for you as a kid?
It was a slow involvement. He didn't do it all at once. You know, things just started happening, and then it was a part of my life. If you want something, you get a plane to go get it. If you want to do something, you make arrangements, and you call across the country, and it just happens. I didn't do it myself, but you have people taking care of everything for you. I did nothing. Everything was taken care of.
And during the day, you got up and went to high school.
Right, let me just pause. Now, listen, guys, remember, when Priscilla gets interviewed, I'm talking about in the 80s and 90s and noughties, she gives the impression that she was in a prison, that she was unhappy, that she couldn't find herself, and that she'd lost her sense of self, that her life was miserable, that she was suffering, that she was a victim. But she's just said she could have anything she wanted, anything. She even had her own car, loads of freedom, friends and family visiting, loads of wives of the Memphis Mafia to be friends with. She was having the time of her life. You watch the videos, guys, of Priscilla with Elvis in the different homes, doing the little holiday trips and the different holidays they had and the visits to different events. She was loving life, loving life. So anyone that thinks that Priscilla suffered when she lived in Graceland, in any of the other homes, you're wrong, guys. One thing that does stand out, if you do your research, Priscilla had her eye on other men. She did. Everyone blames it on Elvis. That Elvis would go off, do his movies, chat up the women. He probably did. But never Priscilla. Priscilla, when she's interviewed, it is never said that she was chasing after men. Never mentioned. Barbara Walters doesn't mention it. Larry King doesn't mention it. It is never mentioned. The wrongdoing of Priscilla is never brought up. The divorce settlements, both of them, never brought up. Let's keep going, guys.
Home in the afternoon, you said sometimes you'd crawl into bed with Elvis at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and he was just getting up and didn't even know you were gone.
I worked that out.
And then you stayed up most of the night?
Yeah.
And took pills to go to sleep?
I had to, because we got home so early in the morning. He would sleep until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then he'd get his sleep. So I'd be lucky if I got another half hour in.
At one point, you said, in the early stages of your living there,
Let me just pause it.
2 pills.
Right. Now, remember, guys, she talks about the fact that Elvis was sleeping at odd hours. Priscilla would get back from school, high school, he'd still be asleep. Now, what is wrong with that? The man couldn't live his life during the day because he was so famous. He couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. So he had to live at night. So the fact that he would wake up in the afternoon, in the day, it's nothing unusual for the most famous man in the world who literally couldn't go out. Now she's going to go on to try and ridicule taking sleeping tablets. I still say this, guys, there is nothing wrong with sleeping tablets back then. We now know they have side effects. Now, the other thing she's going to say now, she's going to talk about this very famous story that I dispute that it even happened, that she took 2 pills and she was knocked out, unconscious for days on end, and that Elvis laughed it off. Yeah? I don't believe it. It was mentioned in Sofia Coppola's film, Priscilla, which again should never have been made. Let's see how it's spoken about there. I don't believe it ever even happened. I don't believe that ever happened. Because I think the Elvis that we've got to know would not have just laughed it off. He would have been really worried. He would have taken her to hospital. Yeah? But no, it's laughed off. Let's listen to see how Barbara describes it.
He'd get his sleep. So I'd be lucky if I got another half hour in.
At one point, you said, in the early stages of your living there, that he gave you 2 pills. Placido was it called?
Yes.
And you almost died. And he didn't call a doctor.
Well, I think the fact that I had never taken pills and he had given me 2, because he was used to taking 2, it didn't bother
windows with blackout drapes so no sunlight entered day after day.
It went into weeks. Yes, we stayed like that. We had our food delivered by the door. And it was cold. I mean, he did like it cold, and it was dark. And it could get real lonely. And that's how he liked it at times. Like a cocoon.
So this is this bizarre life.
Hang on.
Being able to have.
That's how he...
So now, you see the way that she describes Elvis, yeah? She completely makes him out to be some kind of weirdo, even ends it by saying, like a cocoon, and that he liked things to be cool in his bedroom, yeah? Now, no mention of what time of year it was, yeah? Because I'll tell you now, if it was baking hot in the summer, you'd want it cool. But that whole sentence is to make Elvis look weird. Then now Barbara Walters will go on to say, so you led this bizarre life where you could have anything you want. So are we getting the impression, guys, that the whole point of this 1985 interview is to make Elvis look weird? You look at that interview, even just the fact that they sometimes took sleeping tablets. Every time Barbara Walters speaks, she's trying to make Elvis look bad. Every time Priscilla speaks, she's trying to make Elvis look bad. Now, understand something, guys. That Priscilla, right now, is saying on nearly every interview she does, Elvis is the love of my life. Elvis is the love of my life. She keeps repeating it. Now, Priscilla has become well-trained. When she does interviews now, she's very careful. She's very guarded. She speaks very highly of Elvis. Yeah, very highly. She lets the interviewers do the damage with how they ask the questions. So one of the things like her age get brought up, she lets the interviewer ask the question. Even now in 2023, I think it was, the Piers Morgan interview, she lets the interviewer do the damage. She doesn't say to the interviewer that he'd only known her for 6 weeks. But now, the point of this, of me showing you the Barbara Walters interview, is to show you that there's been a massive change in Priscilla. All of the things she's saying there, she won't say now, because she knows the fans are watching her, are fed up with it, don't trust her. She knows she needs to be careful. But back then, the public were much more gullible. She felt, I think, that she acted as if the public was stupid. I think Barbara Walters does as well. They act like the public are stupid. They'll believe what is spoon-fed to them. They'll believe, in my opinion, the lies that are being said, the twisted stories that are being said. That in my opinion, this is the same thing. The public bought it and believed every word of it, and then it was treated like history, like an actual event for over 40 years. The public fell for it. It's the biggest scam ever. How many of the public, even today, believe every word that is being said in that interview? That Barbara Walters interview of 1985, how many non-Elvis fans completely think that is what happened? That was reality, that every word of that is the truth. I would say even now, 47 years after Elvis died, even now they believe every single word of this interview, and they will argue with you if you try and say any different. Now, we Elvis fans, we know the truth. We've done our research. We've made some effort. But to the average layman in the street, the general public, they believe every word of this. And all of this interview is designed to make Elvis look bad. And he cannot defend himself. He cannot stand up and say, that isn't true. That isn't true. That's not fair. That never happened. He can't do nothing. She literally can say whatever she wants. Could you imagine you being in that kind of powerful position? You're on TV. You know that interview was going to be watched by tens of millions of people around the world. And every word that is being said is believed. Not just by Priscilla, by Barbara Walters as well. It is so unfair. This is such an injustice to Elvis and to his family and to Riley and to Philly and Harper and to Lisa Marie. No wonder Lisa Marie was feuding with her mother, Priscilla. No wonder when you see the wrongdoing of just this one interview. Now, remember, this interview happened again and again and again with different interviewers, including in books. And this book tells a different reality. The more I go into this interview, the more I think, oh my God, poor Elvis. Poor Elvis. He must be turning in his grave. He must be turning. And Priscilla owes the fans an apology. Priscilla Presley, if you're watching this, you owe the fans an apology. You can't treat someone like that and then pretend that it never happened, because the Priscilla of 2024 has forgotten these interviews. She doesn't answer the questions like that anymore, but the damage has been done. These interviews are ingrained in society. They are part of the fabric of the world. They believe this stuff. Even now, it is so unfair. This is why we defend Elvis Presley, because we want the truth to come out. We defend Elvis, Team Elvis, because if we don't defend Elvis, who's gonna?
Frightened at times, like a cocoon.
So this is this bizarre life of being able to have or buy anything you want. Loneliness, days of being alone with him in darkened rooms, pills, and you loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Was he good to you?
Very.
Was he also bad to you?
When you say bad to me, I don't think it wasn't bad to me in a way that, intentionally bad. Elvis went through an awful lot, and I think the communication that we had was very difficult and different. And I had to make it work. I had to do it. I mean, with the fear of a young girl fearing that if I didn't do it, maybe someone would take my place. I always had that fear, well, if I don't do this, someone's going to do it, and I wanted to be the one.
Right, let me, I want to comment on that. I want to be fair to Priscilla. Definitely Elvis at least made her feel that he was secretly seeing other people, maybe co-stars. We know about Anne Margaret. So I understand that she felt that she was going to be replaced by somebody else. I get that. She was quite young. She would have been 19, 20, yeah? It must have been difficult for her. I agree. Now, there's also rumours that she had crushes on different men through the 60s. I don't want to bring that up now. That's another story. So I want to be fair. Elvis was no angel. He made mistakes. But when I watched that little clip that was played then, is there a possibility that once the table started to turn in favour of Priscilla, so once she had the affair with Steve Peck after Lisa Marie was born in 1968, around March, then she went on 18 months later to have the secret affair with Mike Stone, the karate instructor. Was that the beginning of revenge? This is what I ask you guys. Was there revenge here? Do you think there's revenge? I also say this. Was the book revenge? I'm asking you for your opinions. Do you think this book was revenge because Elvis made her feel stupid when Elvis may have had affairs with his co-stars, with other women? Do you think that the way that once Priscilla had almighty power as the queen of Graceland, the trustee on behalf of Lisa Marie, running Graceland, the boss of Graceland, total power, do you think a lot of Priscilla's behavior was revenge? Honestly, I ask you, do any of you think it was revenge? Cloaked in this, oh, I'm going to protect Elvis's legacy. If it wasn't for me in the Living Museum and Graceland and me saving Graceland, Elvis would be forgotten. Elvis would be forgotten. But secretly, revenge. Revenge. You tell me what you think. You tell me what you think. Let's carry on, guys. Now we've got about 15 minutes left.
Central on Lifetime. You wrote, Elvis controlled your looks, your clothes, your hair, your makeup. He controlled you Totally. Is that accurate?
I was
Right.
definitely under a spell of
Clothes, your hair, your makeup.
Right, I need to. I've got to play
Such a
that.
long lifetime.
Let me just get past that advert. Now remember, Elvis totally controlled your hair, your makeup, etc. Now, I've seen many interviews with Priscilla later on where she admits that she loved doing her own makeup, loved doing her hair in the beehive hairstyle, loved dressing herself, and Elvis had great taste, so he would help her, let her know what suits her. But look, now, if somebody asked Priscilla today, oh, was Elvis a controller? Was he controlling? Was he a groomer? She'll say no. She'll go, oh, no, I don't think so. 40 years later. But listen to what comes out of her mouth. Now, Barbara Walters asks the horrible question. Oh, he basically forced you how to dress. Yeah? She doesn't say no. She doesn't go, oh, no, he never forced me how to dress. It was up to me. I could wear what I wanted. I could do my hair, do my makeup. Now, we are talking about a woman that is basically in her late teens or early 20s. Yeah? Are you telling me, do any of you believe that Priscilla Presley, even if we go back to the age of 17 and a half, wasn't able to dress herself, do her own hair, do her own makeup? A woman, mind. Girls, let's face it, I say it to you now. Do any of you at the age of 17, 18, 19, 20 not know how to do your hair and makeup, how to dress? But she gives the impression that Elvis forced her. Now, what Priscilla should have done, because she's calling him a groomer, a controller, what Priscilla should have done is gone, oh, no, he never did any of that. She says, yes. Let's listen to it.
You wrote, Elvis controlled your looks, your clothes, your hair, your makeup. He controlled you totally. Is that accurate?
I was definitely under a spell of
So wrong,
what I
guys.
thought was love.
So
And
wrong.
I had to take responsibility for that too.
And even though he wanted you virginal and pure, he dressed you as you ride like a top. Sequin, shiny material, low cut, slit up the side. Why?
I think maybe it was his way of showing sophistication. Maybe making me appear older.
Such rubbish. Let me butt in there.
There's some kind of
Like she just said, to make me appear older. Yeah? Now remember, guys, Barbara is talking to Priscilla as if Priscilla was 14 when Elvis was dressing her. Yeah? Makeup, dressing, hair, how to walk, how to act, how to move. Now we know, yeah, here, the Elvis fans, she didn't move to Graceland until she was nearly 18. So what they're talking about happened after she turned 18. Yeah? She could even be 19 or 20. Yeah? So when they're talking about the way that she dressed, it was completely normal for her age. But Barbara Walters is giving the impression that she was still 14 when this was happening. Elvis didn't see Priscilla at 14, 15, 16, 17. He didn't see her. Yes, they met for 6 weeks briefly in Germany. But then Elvis didn't see her for years.
an appeal that men like with a trashy kind of work, maybe.
6 years you lived there before he...
No, she just said, one more thing. She said men love the trashy look, yeah? Now, guys, do any of you think she's just winging it? She's winging it. She's making it up as she goes along. She's making it up as she goes along. This is what I think's happening.
An appeal that men like with a trashy kind of work, maybe.
6 years you lived there before he decided to marry you. In those 6 years of sleeping with him every night, he never had intercourse with you. You wrote in your book that there were times when you begged him. You even wrote it down. You said, I'm a woman who needs to make love, to feel desired by her man. Please don't make me beg. 6 years of that?
So why? Well, again, I can only go back to what his concept was, is what he wanted in a woman. And somewhere along in his past, he said that he wanted a virgin.
Yet, you're also right that you and
Hang on.
Elvis took dozens and dozens.
Right, hang on. I keep jumping in here because every point is important, I think. Now, she says that Elvis wanted a virgin. Right. I'll be honest with you, in the 1960s, to want to marry a virgin is completely normal. Completely normal. And it was completely normal for a man in his 20s to marry an older teenager. Yeah? Now, come on, let's be honest. Do you think men in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s wanted to marry a woman that had slept around? Why are they trying to make it out as if Elvis wanting to marry a virgin is a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing? A man doesn't want to marry a girl that has slept with all his mates. So what if Elvis wanted to marry a virgin?
He said that he wanted a virgin.
Yet, you're also right that you and Elvis took dozens and dozens of Polaroid pictures acting out your fantasies. You learned to turn him on sexually even though you never had intercourse. You did say that. Under no circumstances were his ideas or playfulness ever perverted.
No.
You feel the same way today now that you're older and you look back?
No, I can't say it's a perversion. I really can't say that. I mean, nothing was harmful. Nothing was done in bad intent. Nothing was done, that I don't think is unusual.
He would leave you. He would go off to make pictures. He would go off to Las Vegas. And you heard about other women. How'd you feel? What'd you do about it?
I felt horrible. It was almost a part of, it was the fear that I had too. I didn't want him to leave my sight. I wanted to be with him because if I left him again, that fear always came in. I'm going to lose him.
You wrote in your book that one of your greatest worries was about his co-star, Anne Marble.
Yes, that's true. I knew there was an affair.
And did you confront him?
If I confronted him, he'd deny it.
Or get mad?
Well, that's usually what happens when you're caught.
So you live with that?
Yes.
What about his temper? We hear a lot about that temper.
Yes, he did have a temper. He did. It was unpredictable. It's funny now when you think about it, because his temper was always, I think, bursts of, it's frustration. But I think because he had the power and the money to destroy, he could just replace it like that.
If Elvis didn't like a performer on television, he would go bang, bang, and shoot the television set. It would be all gone.
Yes, he'd just blow him off the air. That's simple. And the television would be placed like that.
Before you turned around the bed yourself. But he carried guns all the time.
Yes, he did. He had a love of guns, and he had a collection of guns, and I guess it's another way of feeling that power.
Sometimes when he was irrational, he did hurt you. He once gave you a black eye. He once threw a chair at you. You didn't like something he sang, and he threw a chair at you. And it had records on it.
Right. Okay. So I tell you what, Elvis never gave Priscilla a black eye. Complete rubbish. He never threw a chair at her. She's even admitted it in interviews. He threw it at the wall. It was never at her. Let's just keep going.
Records went all over the place.
Priscilla, will you tell me what was so wonderful about him?
The real Elvis was generous, wonderful, sensitive, considerate.
Finally comes that happy day when you get married in 1967.
Right, well, I'm going to pause it there. Because now we're talking about the wedding. And that needs to be for a part 4. So we're doing part 3. So I've got a couple of minutes. I thought I'd have a quick chat. I still dispute that there was any sexual things that went on between Elvis and Priscilla when she was 14 in Germany. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I don't think it happened. Yeah. I was just reading some of your comments. Honestly, I don't. Yeah. Elvis didn't want to have sex with Priscilla till the night of his wedding. Now, did things happen once she moved to Graceland when she was nearly 18? It's very possible. It's very possible. But in Germany, when she was 14, Just my opinion. A fan at home, no way. No way. I don't care. That's what my view is. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room with them. The Elvis I know, going on the interviews and things that I've researched and read and watched, I would say every girlfriend that Elvis ever had after he was in his 20s was over 20. Was over 20. Now, do any of you disagree with that? Every girlfriend that Elvis had, once he became a bit older, was over 20. Can you think of any girlfriend that Elvis had once he was in his mid-20s that was under 20? Can you even think of one? Please tell me. Guys, honest. Think of one. If I'm wrong, tell me. Because I know they were young. I know a lot of the girls were 20, 21, 22 and more. But how many were under 20? Is there any honest, genuine proof that Elvis ever was with 14-year-old girls? Is there any evidence that Elvis had sex with an underage girl? 14. Anyone? I want to see it. I want to see it. There is not. You've got people that are paid money to lie with no proof. But I'm telling you now, well, Ginger wasn't. She was 20. But come on. You know what I'm saying, guys. 19, 20. Come on. You know what I'm saying. Was Elvis ever with 14-year-olds? This is my point. Did Elvis prefer younger girls? You have Suzanne Finstad in that horrible interview, the author of this book. This is why I'm not completely happy with this book, saying disgusting things about Elvis, that he had a sweet spot for 14-year-old girls. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. There's no proof. There is no. I want proof. Actual proof. Has Elvis ever been, was Elvis ever prosecuted for having sex with a 14-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl? Never. Never. Elvis did not have a sweet spot for 14-year-old girls. Elvis liked a mature women. You look at all the different girlfriends. I could list them. There's many very good things now. Elaine sent me some that break down all the different girlfriends that Elvis had through his life. And I tell you now, they were not children. They were not 14. Almost all of them in their 20s, some in their 30s. Okay, guys? So I think we're going to have to end it there because I've got to take my boy to football. Elvis was no paedophile. I don't give a crap what anyone says. Yeah? I'm sick. We have just sat here. I'm actually quite upset. We have just sat here and watched half an hour of crap, of lies. A woman hell-bent on making Elvis look bad. Two people hell-bent on making Elvis look bad. Barbara Walters, who should be ashamed of herself the way she portrayed poor Elvis because he couldn't defend himself. And then you have Priscilla, who spoke about Elvis in a disgusting way. And we've only watched half of that interview. Now, I don't hate Priscilla. I'm not trying to create hate for Priscilla. We are not a Priscilla hate channel, but we are going to get to the truth. We defend Elvis Presley. We are Elvis defenders, Team Elvis. Together, we try and get to the truth as best as we can, as a fan at home in his kitchen, trying to do my best so that we can be heard. Because Elvis needs to be defended because he can't defend himself. That whole thing just infuriates me. And I demand an apology from Priscilla to admit that that interview was out of order, was cruel to Elvis, made Elvis look like a perverted sicko. Yeah, half an hour of bad-mouthing Elvis Presley. But now she will sit there in an interview and say, Elvis was the love of my life. Elvis was the love of my life. She will keep saying it. Oh, I miss him. He was so talented. He was so beautiful. Oh, I keep his legacy alive. You know, I saved Graceland, and it was my idea to open the museum. No. You have betrayed Elvis for 40 years. He can't defend himself. You owe him an apology. We the fans want an apology from you, Priscilla Presley. Priscilla Bulow. You know that you shouldn't have taken back the Presley name. You only took the name back for money. You know you're not his widow. You were his ex-girlfriend. You know that you were unfaithful to him many times. And when it came to the divorce settlements, you took him to the cleaners. It's time for you to admit your wrongdoing. How you treated Lisa Marie was wrong. How you treated Riley Keough was wrong. You should be with your grandkids, not going around the world trying to make money, sign autographs for cash. Come on, Priscilla, you're 80. It's time to do the right thing. Set things right once and for all. Like you said years ago when you released this book, you're going to put wrongs to right. Wrongs to right. Now's the time for you, Priscilla. Put wrongs to right. Apologize to the fans so that we can go forward and tell the world that the image and reputation of Elvis is wrong. It's unfair. He doesn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He was so good to you. He gave you such an amazing life. Life of royalty. He gave you that. You've been made an absolute fortune and lived a life like a queen for over 40 years, 50 years. Yeah? More than 50 years because of knowing Elvis, because of that brief friendship you had with him for 6 weeks in Germany. And I know that if I go through YouTube, I'll find many other interviews where you are being very similar, where you are allowing the interviewer to talk terribly about Elvis, to put Elvis down, to make Elvis look stupid, to embarrass Elvis. You embarrass your own grandkids. You embarrass Riley Keough. You embarrassed Lisa Marie Presley with your words, with these horrific interviews. You need to do something right. Set things right. Put wrongs to right. Finally, and I invite you, I give you the opportunity to make things right. I will be respectful to you. I will understand what you went through with Elvis, because I know that Elvis was no angel. Do the right thing before it's too late, Priscilla. Say sorry. Apologize to the fans. It's not too late for you. It's not too late. Guys, I have to go. Got to take my kid to football. We've had a good hour. Quite a passionate hour. Quite upsetting. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit upset. Some of those comments has brought me close to tears, and I'm not putting that on. It's difficult, guys. It's difficult because I just think it's so unfair. It is so unfair. Yeah? Oh, let's play a song. We're going to go out with a song. Probably going to make you guys cry. So upset with that. I don't know, that has really got to me, and we're only 18 minutes in of a 59-minute interview. 18 minutes, guys. There's another 41 minutes to go. This is only part 3. Right. Sorry, guys, I'm going to make you cry.
Children always first feel the pain and the hurt the worst is cruel somehow. It just don't seem right. It just don't seem right. So every time I cry, I know it hurts my little children's soul. Will it be the same tonight? Don't cry, Daddy. Daddy, please don't cry. Don't cry. Daddy, you still got me. Good time in together, we'll find a brand new love. Daddy, Daddy, please laugh again. Daddy, life is on your back again. Oh, Daddy, please don't cry. Don't cry, Daddy. Daddy, you still got me. Tell me together we'll find a brand new home. Daddy, Daddy, please laugh again. Everybody's on your back again. Oh, Daddy.
Right, guys, we're gonna have to go. Take care, guys. Love to all of you. Thank you for listening. I send you all love. Take it easy, guys.